right now, on that dark web, somebody can go out there and buy all your information for $7.
Yes, sir. Okay. 12 ounces of gold. Yes, we have that. Okay, great. And you're sending someone is gonna bring the certified check to us and then pick up the box and bring it to you? Okay, sounds great. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna call this in. The check is for $39,876. Okay, great. All right, thank you, bye. Okay, looks like the check is verified. The bank said it's good. Here's your gold. Thank you very much for being a customer and have a great day. Yes, this is David. I'm looking at my bank account and I'm really confused because I see a returned check for $40,000 and it's a certified bank check. And I'm just trying to understand what's going on. The check has been returned. How does a certified bank check get returned? Oh my goodness. Yes, officer. Yes? A crime ring of fake checks? 5 other dealers? Oh my goodness. So you're telling me that they created a fake certified bank check with a hologram, a fake verification number, and a fake bank prompt to press and verify the check? I mean, it sounds so legit. We literally just lost $40,000. 5 other dealers in New Hampshire got scammed for the same amount of money? That's horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, please let me know if you find out anything more, if you're able to find these guys. Okay, bye. Hi, folks. I'm Silver Dave at Local Silver Mint, and I'm sitting here with Roland. Roland is a member of the local community, and he's a mutual friend that has taken a very strong interest over the years in digital and/or just general security. He's been studying different types of scams and frauds and helping people in the community learn ways that they can protect themselves from those types of scams and frauds. And so we thought we'd take some time and talk to Roland so we could learn a little more about how we can protect ourselves, because we're seeing scams and fraud at record levels I've never seen before so much. So hopefully this segment will give us some useful information and we can protect ourselves better. So here we are. Roland,
Hey.
I think maybe we could start off, if you want to give us some examples of some different types of scams that you've seen.
Okay. So just to put it in context, Dave, scams have been going on since the beginning of time, since the beginning of people had valuable assets. There's always been somebody trying to take those assets away from you in sort of a nefarious manner. But these days, we have new doorways into our lives. And those doorways are our electronic devices, okay? So that gives people another way to try and get to us, get our information, get our assets, all right? So there's a bunch of common scams. I'm gonna name a few, but really that's more like the top ones. If you go online and look at scams, you'll see hundreds of scams, just about for anything you're going to do, anything that includes valuables or identity. So the top one is phishing. You see phishing every day. You get an email, you get that strange email. They want your information some way. You don't recognize who it's from. You put it into your junk folder, whatever you do with it. But that's the most common, okay? Romance scams. You're looking for love in all the wrong places, and you find somebody who declares their love for you, but they have problems and they need a little support or something. That happens all the time. Lottery scams. If you didn't enter a lottery, you didn't win the lottery, okay? If somebody tells you you win, send me the money, we'll set it up, we'll send you back your money. Nobody's giving you that money. They're just taking your money. And as far as foreign lotteries go, You can't enter a foreign lottery. It's against the law. Okay, bank fraud. You get that all the time. You get a text or you get an email, there's a problem with your account. Click this link and we're going to fix that for you. The only problem is if you click the link or you respond to them. All right, so government impersonation scams, that happens all the time. All right, we're with the IRS, so we're with the Social Security, even we're with law enforcement, and do something, you gotta do something right away. You're in trouble, and if you don't do something right away, you're gonna be in trouble, Online shopping, okay, I heard the other day, people would go to these online shopping sites, but the site would be like one letter off from the real site, the name, and people will think they're on like Wayfair, but they're on Wayfair, okay? And then they're buying stuff from this place, they never get it. It's a total scam. Tech support's a big one. You're on your device and all of a sudden that thing pops up and say, oh, you have a virus. Click this link, contact us right away. Big scam, okay? And now they're even warning you about your QR codes. Be careful when you scan those QR codes. So there are all these different scams. And like I said, these are like just the top scams. There's all sorts of different ways people are trying to get your information. The thing about scams, they all have several things in common. And what are those things that are in common? What do you think?
What are the things that are in common with scams?
Yeah.
A sense of urgency.
Number one thing.
Oh.
Number one thing is people are trying to get you to act immediately. In other words, if you don't do this within the next 24 hours, okay, you have to do this right away. Urgency is the number one thing. They're trying to get you so excited that you act right away, okay? And there's two things they're going after, and one is your fear, and one is your greed. Your fear is that something bad's gonna happen if you don't do it. The greed is you only have this short time to get this opportunity. That's the urgency. In that way, they're sort of manipulating your emotions to get you into a state where you're not really thinking rationally. There's other red flags. If they're requesting your personal information, any personal information, this little red flag should go up. There's something happening here. Can I trust what's going on? It's unsolicited. You didn't contact these people. They contacted you. Red flag going off from your head. Too good to be true, okay? Hey, you give us your money, we're gonna give you a 50% return on your money. Nobody's giving you a 50% return on your money. Red flag going off in your head. So unusual payment method, that's always a big one. If they're asking you to pay them with gift cards, knock off that communication right away. You know that's a scam. Look for the poor grammar and spelling in their communications, right? If it doesn't look like it's real English or there's weird type of grammar errors, worry about that. So, request for secrecy. Here's a big one. Don't tell anybody about this. Don't call the police because if you do, that's going to give it away. Don't tell your parents. Secrecy is a big thing. So those are the red flags. Those red flags, when you see them, start thinking. So the first thing you have to do is, this stuff ever happens, slow down. Any type of contact, just slow down and say, wait a minute. You have to have a good degree of skepticism in order to deal that.
That makes a lot of sense. So the next question I'd like to ask, and we switch gears a little, but now just a little about physical security. And I just want to get your 2 cents on physical security. What are some basic things that people can do to protect their physical items?
Okay, and let's try and compare a few things. Physical versus digital. Why do people like physical assets? Because they can have actual possession of that asset. They hold it, they can put it in their hands, they can see it. A digital asset mostly is something you have the rights to, not the possession of. Okay? So people say, I really want the possession of this thing. The thing about physical assets is you need the space to store them, as opposed to digital assets, all you need is an electronic device to have your rights to that. Moving physical assets around can be difficult. So in other words, if you have to get up and go real quick, you have to grab all those physical assets. Let's say you have a ton of gold in your safe, it's like hard to grab that and go. But you can take your phone and go anywhere and still have access to that. So there's a different way where you're going to manage these different assets. So, on a physical asset, you need a place to store it. And you need to have a safe place to store it. And you need to say, I get to secure this. I've got to install locks in the doors. I may have to put in a safe. I got to keep my property set up a certain way. I'm going to trim the bushes in front of my windows so I can see outside that people are coming. You know, you'll have the lighting, the timers on that. And the other thing is you're not going to advertise that. You're not going to take your assets, put them on the table and say, hey, everybody, I got a big pile of gold here. Nope, you're not going to do that. Don't let people know what you have. Okay, and this is one of the things that's a problem with social media. People always advertising what they have and where they are. So that can be a problem. You know, securing your stuff. You're gonna secure it, like I said, with a safe. You're gonna make sure your doors are locked. You're gonna make sure you have, you know, maybe bars in the windows if you have that much around there. That's a little bit different from what you're gonna do in your digital rights, but not that much different in that, you know, you're protecting your stuff. So you had physical deterrence, you had perimeter fencing, you had all this stuff. You have access control for your digital things. You have multi-factor authentication. You have ways that make it more difficult to get into those assets and to claim them for yourself. And you have things that warn you when somebody's trying to attack your digital rights. So you have firewalls, encryptions, whereas in your home you have walls, you have physical walls to protect things. And you may have these, you know, cameras that keep an eye on things. And for your digital stuff, you can do regular audits. You can keep in things. You can digitally sign into your bank and make sure that your stuff is still there. And you can have like security key devices for your digital.
It sounds like the key points especially for the physical security, are making sure your items are locked up, minimizing the information that you share with people about your possessions, not advertising that you have silver or gold, to make sure that you've thought through how people can be restricted from getting access to those physical things. And that's why having a physical safe at home that's bolted to the ground, that you have your items locked in, that's why we use safes. And we have a great suggestion on where you can get your safe, which we'll show you at the end of the video, who we recommend if you're looking for one. Let's go on to the next subject, and that is digital security, and specifically, what should we do? How do we protect ourselves from the rampant scams that are happening in the digital world?
All right, you're living in the digital world, and we all live in a digital world. It's kind of hard not to these days. We have our cell phones, we have our tablets, we have our computers, okay? We rely on these things because they let us do a lot of long distance stuff, whereas before we had to drive to the bank. Now I can say, I'm just getting on my computer. Now, I'm going to give a point that most people will say to me, says, I don't want to set up digital access to my bank because I'm afraid that's not secure. There are problems with digital access, but I'm going to give you a warning. If you don't set it up, somebody else may. And let's go to the top. The number one thing that you are protecting, number one, is your identity. Okay? Because if somebody can steal that identity, they can have total control over you. So there's two things. There's identity theft and there's identity fraud. And people say, what's the difference? Identity theft is when somebody steals your information. Okay? And I can tell you that right now, on that dark web, somebody can go up there and buy all your information for $7. And by all your information, I'm talking about your name, your address, everything about your life, your social security number, your bank accounts, it's all out there.
What do you mean for $7?
$7. There are sites out there that nefarious actors can go to and buy your information for as low as $7. They can take that information, they can try to own you. Okay? But having that information is not enough. So that's identity theft. Identity fraud is when they take that information and steal something from you. That's the fraud. Okay? Identity theft, identity fraud. So what are you going to do? Number one, you're going to protect the sites you go to by one, you're going to have a strong password. And by a strong password, I mean at a minimum, 8 characters, uppercase, lowercase characters, a special character, that's those characters at the top of your keyboard, and some numbers. They have tools that can crack passwords. If your password is 8 characters, lowercase, and they have the right tools, they can crack that password. How long do you think it'll take them?
8 characters, but no special.
Lowercase 8 characters.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You got it, 8 seconds.
Oh,
8 seconds through the cracking tools that they have.
oh my goodness.
Now, I'm going to tell you a difference. If you use uppercase, lowercase, special character, and some numbers, we've gone from 8 seconds to maybe a couple of weeks. All right?
Wow, that's
for
a
that
big
tools to brute force that information out there. Okay? If you go to 16 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, okay? We're talking months to years. So very important, strong passwords. Very important. Now, you have a lot of passwords, remember? How do you remember them all? Some people think, well, I'll just have a strong password and put it in everything. Bad idea. Because if they crack one password, they're going to try all these other sites with that same password. They're going to get in. So I recommend something called a password manager. All right? With a password manager, it keeps all your passwords in what's called a vault. The only password you need to know is the password into that vault, and then you make that complex. And you do that by making it a phrase. So if your phrase is Jack be nimble at 10:20:24, you could remember that. That's not hard. Jack be nimble at 10:20:24. Okay, but that's really long. And in order to crack that, it would take them a long time. Now people say, well, I got this password manager, but all my passwords are stored up in the cloud. Is that safe? Well, yeah, it's safe as anything because one, it's encrypted. It's end-to-end encrypted and it's encrypted up there. So if they actually got on that site and got all the information, they'd have to decrypt everything. It isn't going to happen. Okay, so that's important. And at any time that you can put two-factor authentication on a site, and by two-factor authentication, I mean they have to text you a code. You know, you put in your ID, you put in your password, now give me the code. There's a new thing called passkeys. If you got them, use them. They're more secure. There are authentication apps. You can just download the authentication apps. And what happens is that authentication app creates a code that changes every 1 minute. So you sign in, it says, what's your authentication code? You go to your authentication app, you wait for that code, like if it says, it'll tell you how long till the next code. Put that code in there and you're into your site. The strongest one is called a key. It's like a little USB thing, you're gonna hang it around your neck, you're gonna plug that into your device, and you can't get anywhere until the device is plugged in. The backside of this is that if you lose your device, it can be a problem. So there's ways to back that up. There are ways to back up your keys, there's ways to back up your passwords. And take all the stuff off your phone you don't use. And that's if you go through your computer, do I use this software? No, delete it. Go on your phone, do I use this app? No, delete it. All this stuff is watching you. So if you have games and things you don't use, get them out there. If it's free, free means you're not paying money, but you're paying them with information. You're letting them take information from you. So you're playing your nice solitaire game. They're getting information from you in that way. Okay, there are ways to look on your phone and look this up, how to find the permission each app is using. If that app has permission to your camera and you say, why would this app have permission to my camera? Why does this game have permission to my camera? Either get rid of the app or some of them you can block the permissions you don't want that app to have. Secure your network. Some of us have our provider give us our modem and our router and they set it up for you. But if you can set up your own is good and set strong passwords on your Wi-Fi. And the reason you want to do that is you don't want people driving by getting into your network. So that's really important. And don't name your network. If you're living at 12 Main Street, don't name your network 12 Main Street. Everybody knows where it is. You know, call it Blue Sky. Call it something that has nothing to do with your location. Enable encryption. Don't go around using public networks unless you really have to. And if you do use a public network, there's a tool called a VPN, a virtual private network you can install that will keep you more secure. Browsing. We all get on browsers these days, right? We go to different sites. We say, oh, it is an interesting link. Click on it. Be careful of where you are. You can put extensions on your browsers for more privacy. Watch the links that you're clicking. Be aware of where you're going when you're browsing. Okay? As you're browsing, information is being taken from you. These browsers are creating things called fingerprints. Fingerprints is the information, they get enough information they can know exactly who you are and what you're doing, and that all goes to marketing people. But still, it's information on you. Back up your data, okay? You got a nice physical asset, what do? You insure it, right? Okay? The way to ensure your data is to back it up. You can back it up. You can put it in your big safe if you want to. You put a little USB drive, put it in your safe, and it's safe. There's also ways to encrypt that data so even if somebody gets it, they can't read it. The thing with encryption is if you forget your encryption key, it's as much garbage to you as it is to anybody else. So you have to be able to know, have somewhere to save your encryption keys or your passwords to get into that stuff. Very important. And, you know, understand how phishing works. When you get to that email that says IRS, go look at who it's really from. There's a way to look at email headers. Most of the time you just tap on who it's from, it'll show you who it's really from. If it says IRS and you tap on it and it's coming from Hotmail or Gmail, IRS does not use Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook or whatever, or Yahoo Mail. These companies have a domain name. If it's from the government, it has a .gov extension. It's irs.gov. So educate yourself, and educating yourself is really important. And just securing your mobile devices. How do you secure your mobile devices? Have a password. You're going to secure that device as simplest thing as just at least put a pin on it. Now, some people say use biometrics, and the biometrics work. My only warning for using a fingerprint is that the law enforcement, for some reason, you want to protect yourself, law enforcement can make you open up a device with your fingerprint. They cannot make you open your device with a pin. It's against the law. It's strange, it sounds ridiculous, and people say, well, are you involved in criminal activities? No, I'm just worried about my privacy. So again, everything has its upsides and downsides, so educate yourself on what it is.
So Roland, thank you so much for giving us those tips. If a person wants to find more information about digital security, do you have any recommendations on some places where a person can go and what they can do to seek more information?
I am going to recommend it. I work for the AARP because I do a lot of work with older adults. And they have a thing, it's AARP Fraud Watch. AARP.org/Fraud Watch. It can happen to anybody. Don't feel bad. And if it happens to you, tell somebody. Go to the police. It's a crime, okay? Go to the police, say, I've been scammed. What can you do for me? Maybe nothing will ever happen. Maybe they'll find the scammer.
Well, thank you very much, Roland. This has been tremendously informative. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here to local Silver Mint in Ware, New Hampshire, and help us learn more about how we can keep ourselves safe. Follow some of these suggestions and try to avoid getting scammed. Roland,
Dave, nice talking to you. Thanks for putting this information out there for people.
it's my pleasure, and thank you. In this video, we talked a lot about security, and a lot of focus was on digital security. Well, one of the ways I like to protect my stuff is to have real stuff and not digital stuff. And that's why I like to stack physical silver, that I can hold it, I can handle it, I can look at it, I can weigh it, and I know it's real, I can test it. And so I am an advocate of having physical silver as opposed to buying futures contracts in Wall Street for silver that you don't see. Folks, if you are gonna have your physical silver or gold at home, you need to make sure you have a good quality safe that's strong, that's durable and dependable, and that's installed, that's bolted to the ground. And that's why I recommend Eastern Security and Safe Company. And this is one of the safes they offer. They actually have many different ones to choose from. We like this one for silver stackers because it's got lots of space, and so you can fit your silver, your gold, or your guns, and you can call and they will deliver it to you. They will bring it up the stairs, down the stairs. They will bolt it to the floor properly so that you have the right amount of security. And so if you're gonna have your silver and gold at home, which I recommend you do, you should call up Eastern Security and Safe Company. It's tax-free. Even if you live in Massachusetts, it's tax-free to get the safe. I highly recommend it. And also, thank you so much, folks, for watching. I'm Silver Dave from local Silver Mint in Ware, New Hampshire, reminding you to stay safe, stay secure, and keep on stacking. Yeah!